Hello everyone, it's Kaiju Stuff here. And after, 4 or 5 months, we are going to do a top 10 video about my top 10 favorite Bandai vinyls. Yeah, so let's just begin. So number 10 basically is all nostalgia based, but I still do think it is a pretty cool figure, not including my nostalgia, of course, and bias. And that would be the Bandai Shin Godzilla. I believe the only regular Bandai Shin Godzilla. So the reason why I like this guy is my peak Godzilla, I guess not really interest, but more of when movies were going to come out and real stuff like that was during the Shin Godzilla era. Because I was waiting for Shin Godzilla to come out, and that was right after the 2014 film. So I was really all in, and I was just waiting and waiting. And then it finally came out, and I was still extremely pleased with it. So after that, I got my Shin Godzilla figure, and this is one of my first Bandai vinyls. Because that was when I really started to get into collecting in general, and the first one I really wanted as a so-called villain was Shin Godzilla, and the whole villain persona kind of stuck with me. And as you can see with this, which is the main series, so if you have not seen that, please go watch it, because I'm telling you, it is good, and it's actually a pretty big milestone for the channel. But anyway, so the whole villain persona derived from the movie and just my perspective, and I do really love Shin Godzilla. He's one of my favorite Godzillas, and this is one of my favorite Godzilla figures, and also my favorite Bandai vinyl. Now, number 9, in my opinion, is a rare figure, but also somewhat of a rare character in the Kaiju scene. Mostly because, number 1, he's not even from Godzilla, and yet he's a Godzilla villain, if that makes any sort of sense. And number 2, he only appeared for around 10 minutes of screen time, but he is one of my favorite designs of this certain character, and that would be Cretaceous King Ghidorah. Now, this is, to my knowledge, the only Bandai vinyl of Cretaceous King Ghidorah. Like, I know there probably was some sort of repaint, kind of like the Godzillasaurus, which I know there's one with a silver neck and the other with a kind of pinkish neck. But to my knowledge, this is the only one ever that's a Bandai vinyl. And if I'm being honest, he is one of my favorite King Ghidorah designs. I love how he looks like an ancient Aztec god somewhat, with all these armor plates and stuff. He just looks like an ancient animal, and I think that's very cool. And then he eventually turned into Grand King Ghidorah, which I do not have a figure of, but I do have this. And I will say, to anyone that likes King Ghidorah, I highly suggest getting this figure. It might be a little pricey, but that's fine, because honestly, it deserves the price range, because this is one of the only Bandai vinyls of this character, and I do really think he needs more love. Now, this next one is honestly a pretty popular Godzilla character, if not one of the most popular in the Heisei era. But there is not too many Bandai figures. There's really only 2 unique molds that somewhat really give this justice. And this is the best one, in my opinion, but I'm sure everyone would agree with me. And that would be this huge Biollante. This came out over 30 years ago. I believe only a couple years after the movie came out. And yet, it is still the best Bandai vinyl Biollante that you could get on the market. Because there is another one that came out in 2018, which I also have, and was my first Biollante figure. But this one, it's unjustifiable of how cool this is. Not only is it a Bandai vinyl, but these are also somewhat flexible. Like, yeah, they don't have any wires in them to bend, but it still looks so cool. And if you like Biollante, I would recommend having this. So in my opinion, number 7 is one of the coolest color variants of Kiryu. And that would be this black variant. And you might be saying, oh, it's just Kiryu. But I do really like him. Also, he's 8 inches tall. And he's got more articulation than just the regular 6-inch Bandai Kiryu. But the reason why I have him on this list is because I think he would be a really cool character in a movie. Like, maybe he could be some sort of a cloaking mechanism, kind of like the Predator. I think that'd be super cool. And I think this is a really cool design of Kiryu. And I just want to see more love of this guy. And plus, it's 8 inches tall. It's a very nice Kiryu, excluding the whole black variant. But I think the black just really makes it awesome. In my opinion, this is one of my favorite Kiryus in my collection. And probably my favorite. Now, this is the only one in this list with a tag on it, because this is the only actual rare one here that's like actually, in my opinion, will one day become rare. And that will be the 50th anniversary golden I almost said Ghidorah. Hedorah. Now, just look at the tag. Now, I know they just kind of really upped up the colors, but I think Hedorah looks really cool gold. And to my knowledge, this is the only movie accurate golden Hedorah, especially in a physical form. And I do really like it. I like how his eyes are silver, so he just looks like he's made of a certain valuable metal. This was made 2 years ago, and I do really love it. Maybe one day I'll use it in the series, but as of now, I don't know how I would use it, and it still has the tag on it. I'm not planning to take it off ever. So, I do really like this because this is my only Hedorah that's a 6-inch scale. Because I do have a X Plus Hedorah that I forgot to put in my collection video, which you can see. But this is my only 6-inch Hedorah. So, yeah, I do think it's really cool. And if you like Hedorah and Hedorah's history, I totally recommend getting this because of the cool color variant. Now, this is the only theater exclusive on this list, and one of my only in the entire collection. And that will be this golden Godzilla from the premiere of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Now, I feel like the middle of this list is basically just all about color variants and different types of characters that have a different color. But this one is different because it's translucent. It looks somewhat like a burning Godzilla, but instead it's more golden and orangey. So I do really like it. Plus, it's in an 8-inch scale, even though it matches really well with 6 inches. So I do really like it. It's very cool. If you like Millennium Godzilla at all, I would totally get this because it's so cool. And yeah, it does have the same articulation, but it has a way better sculpt, in my opinion, than the regular Godzilla 2000. You might be saying, well, it's the same thing. It is, but there's other things that make it cool. For example, his tail can move. And, yeah, it's a lot more stiff. Like, it feels somewhat sticky, but that's only because of the certain type of plastic. This is a really cool figure, and I'm so glad I have it. Plus, it's a theater exclusive, and it is starting to get pretty rare. So, very cool. Now, this next one's the only non-Godzilla kaiju on this entire list, but it's very unique because it's not even a Bandai vinyl per se, but it is made by Bandai and it is in the Bandai vinyl scale. So I am going to mention it here, and it is on this list. And that would be this Gamera that was released right after the third Gamera film in the Gamera trilogy. Now you might be saying, oh, this is just a regular Bandai Gamera. Well, in my opinion, this is way cooler because it's, number one, I only got it for $8 off eBay because no one was actually looking at it, and this was a bid. As you can see, his mouth looks a little weird. Well, his mouth can open along with his arms, and he used to throw fire, kind of like a flamethrower. The problem is, I lost that piece. Well, I didn't actually lose it. It did not come with it. So yes, this is incomplete, and yet it is still very cool. So he used to have this little fire piece, kind of like a Trendmaster Zilla, if you ever seen that one. And you kind of see the little hole in there. And, you know, he would just, like, you hit the button, he would launch. And yeah, but he also has articulation. Like, his arms go like this, so you can have him, like, who's the alpha? Like, you know, like, oh, the beach is that way. Like, he's got a very cool articulation. His tail moves, like, twists, and moves up and down. So, technically, he has more articulation than the regular Bandai Gamera, which I do have, and I will mention, but this is not on this list. And the colors are a lot different. You see how this is more of a golden coloring on the regular one? This one's a bit of brown, which I actually do think fits Heisei Gamera a lot more. And then the back has a lot darker greens. See it in the middle, it's got like a foresty green, and on the side it's got kind of like a lighter foresty green, while this one's a very platinum shiny green. So I do think this one has a better paint job, even though this one's a lot more shiny, and I'm sure to most of you looks cooler. But I will say, even though it has some weird things like this button here and the weird mouth, I do say this looks more movie accurate and has more articulation than the regular vinyl. Now we are down to our top 3 favorite Bandai vinyls. Clocking in number 3 is this huge, almost 10-inch Destroyer, made in 1995. Now this looks a little weird, and when I first saw it, I never wanted it because of these weird wings. But once I actually got it and really looked at it, I could tell the entire action was in the front. Look how cool that looks. It's got a nice shiny intersection on the chest, and it's got nice shading basically everywhere else with a beautiful sculpt on the face. The feet are huge. Basically the entire legs. Plus he's got a crap load of articulation. And the one thing that I will say is with this figure are these wings, which kind of look weird and kind of threw me off at first. But once I got the figure, I realized that really did not matter. It's way better than the 2018 Destroyer that came out. And if you love Destroyer, then please get this. Number 2 is a figure that I never thought I would actually have, and yet I have it. And that would be Kaiser Ghidorah. Now, you might be saying, oh yeah, it's Kaiser Ghidorah. But they recently made a reissue of this. Only like a couple months ago. And let me just say, I got this right before the reissue. And I'm so happy I did. Because the reissue looks absolutely horrible. And this one just is honestly the coolest Ghidorah I have. Not even excluding SH Monster Arts. This is my main Ghidorah that I look to when I think of my favorite King Ghidorah figure. Because look how cool this is. You can't tell me it's not cool. Because it's absolutely stunning. The paint job is fantastic. It's at least 10 or 12 inches. The articulation, fantastic once again. It articulates everywhere you want it to. And it scales lovely with a 2004 Godzilla, which I have right there. So, in conclusion, I do think this is the Kaiser Ghidorah figure. And if you want one, get this one, not that horrible, horrible reissue. Now for the number one spot. What astronomically awesome figure am I going to pick? It is the Godzilla Island Godzilla. Yeah, I know it's pretty underwhelming because all the other ones were like either huge or they're like special. But this one, I love Heisei Godzilla, and this just immortalizes Heisei Godzilla. And in my opinion, this is the best Godzilla figure I have in my entire collection, excluding Bandai vinyls. Look at this guy. He looks like Heisei Godzilla in every way, and they didn't just pick a bad Heisei Godzilla, like Godzilla 89. Sorry, Godzilla 89. But they picked Godzilla 1993, which is, in my opinion, the best Heisei Godzilla design. Plus, they also add a nice, shiny, I guess, navy blue to the back. It just looks fantastic. It looks like he's glowing with energy. This is truly the best 6-inch Godzilla that I have, even if you don't think so. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this and different content like this series, which is what made this channel in the first place. So with that, thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe, and goodbye.